All right, man.
Hey,
So how
dude.
you been? How's everything?
Everything's good. Even though for work it's getting a little slow because, it's holiday season.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's different in my part of the woods, like they say. I live in a busy area in Orlando, so it's
Hmm.
crazy over here. I wish I
Yep.
could say the same, but yeah, my job is just getting busier by the day, pretty much.
Hmm.
Which I don't mind. I need the hours. So, but yeah, man. So what movie should we talk about first? There's a lot.
I think we should talk about the, Die Hard film.
It's Christmas Eve in LA. California.
It's just literally, it's like the rewatchable film ever to be, watch every year.
Yeah, yeah. And it's crazy because I feel like almost every year, you always have that debate between people saying, some people say it's not a Christmas movie, some people say it is a Christmas movie. But it is a Christmas movie. I mean, I don't know why that debate still goes around. I'm guessing the people that say it's not really a Christmas movie is because it's not the holiday movie that you would expect. It's an action movie, but it's set on Christmas, so that's the reason why it counts as a Christmas movie. Um, that movie's a classic, man. And I feel like the movie has aged like wine. I mean, I literally got to
Hmm.
see it. I literally got to see it like 2 weeks ago, and it holds up really good, man. And it's a loud, loud movie. Like
It is,
I
dude.
almost blew up my speaker watching that movie. I'm like, man, the sound is crazy on that movie. It's a great movie, man. You just don't get movies like that anymore, that we
Yep.
used to back in the day. But
Not to mention,
yeah, go ahead.
not to mention some people, and sometimes you have a lot of comedy movies be Christmas.
Yeah, 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 that's true. And pretty much to follow up with that, I want to go ahead and keep my other movie besides Die Hard that is very different when it comes to holiday. I will say Gremlins. I
Uh-huh.
want to continue the conversation with Gremlins because Gremlins is a movie that, in a way, is a horror movie.
Yep.
It's a movie that you might think is for kids, but it's a really for kids.
It
Um, to be honest, I really feel like the movie wasn't rated R because if I'm not mistaken, I think the rated R rating wasn't there yet to put on a movie. I could be wrong with that, but I'm not sure because I don't remember the year that the rated R rating came to be.
Well, the thing is, dude, back in the 80s, is that there were pages to happen. And especially that Steven Spielberg's company and the guys who made this movie invented the PG-13 ratings. And
Exactly. So
especially,
PG-13 wasn't a thing yet back then.
hmm
So that was that's pretty much what I was going with. That it's like we had a rated R, of course, but the PG-13 wasn't a thing yet. But you watch some of these movies from the 80s, even if the PG-13 rating wasn't a thing, a lot of them should have been rated R movies because especially with how soft this era is now, maybe a lot of people would take these movies the wrong way.
yep,
But I feel like that's what made people like us, people that grew up around that era and were born around the 80s or 90s. We're stronger. We're tougher than the way people are now because they're just trying to make everything soft. Um, and I just feel like when it comes to a lot of movies like Gremlins and movies from the 80s, that's one of the main reasons why they age like wine because they just don't really have the guts to make movies like that anymore. You know.
yeah, not to mention that's not the only two films that literally, the only film that got controversial. It's a movie called The Silent Night film, the first one.
Yeah, I think that's one movie that I haven't seen yet. So if I'm not mistaken, I think I haven't seen that one. But is that supposed to be? That's not like the new one. That's like an action movie. Is that more of a horror?
No, no, no. Yeah, it's a horror movie. I mean, the first one, I guess the first one was, the film that was released in theaters, but you have like, oh, parents and pre-Karens complain it was too scary, or Santa Claus doesn't do this, and I'm like this, dude. Everyone, you literally, lie to your kids that Santa Claus is real, and two, is that it's a horror movie, not a freaking kiddie movie.
Yeah, and while we're on the topic, I guess we should go to Batman Returns. Pretty much, because like you said, that was another movie that a lot of parents even back then were not happy, because to be honest, if you watch Batman Returns now, it's not really a kids movie at all.
While she craves a romance, she can sink.
There's a lot of stuff going on in that movie that's like, man, this is a dark movie, and on top of that, there's a couple scenes with dialogue between the Penguin and Catwoman that are very sexualized dialogue. For you to put that for a kid is like, I don't think that will work, especially now in this era. But Batman Returns is a must for me every year. I love that movie. When it comes to Christmas and all that stuff. And again, it's a Batman movie set in, around Christmas time, but it's not, that's why it counts as a Christmas movie the same way Die Hard counts as a Christmas movie.
Exactly. Not to mention, Batman Returns literally has a lot of Christmas, everything, because, and after all, it does take place
at the
December.
Theme, you got the tree scene and all that. Hey, I love it, man. I love Batman Returns.
Yeah. Not to mention how many of us, grew up with Batman ever takes place on a Christmas, timeline.
Exactly. And this the fan inside me that kind of hurt. It hurts that DC never made something else set in, around Christmas movie, because especially for Batman, I feel like Gotham really fits, in a Christmas theme type. Even when they make Gotham Origins, the video game, it was it fit in that time. So I'm still surprised that they haven't done another Batman movie setting around Christmas, but who knows, So what's the next movie that we should talk about on the list?
Can we talk about like, for examples, like how the first two Home Alones were?
Yeah, all right. So we're talking about two. Okay, so we're talking about 1 and 2. So yeah, that's something I wanted to say. All right, so we have to pretty much. I'm gonna ask you this: which one do you prefer, 1 or 2?
The first one.
The first one.
I grew up in Chicago, dude. That's like my Chicagoan, film that exists
Gotcha.
to me.
So you got that connection with the first movie, so that's why the first one is. To me, I don't. I asked you first because I don't really know what my answer is when it comes to that. I love both of them. I really do. So I don't know, man. It's hard for me to pick. Sometimes I will probably tell you the first one. Another year I will probably tell you part 2. It's just they're hard. They're both great movies. They're really, really good. And part 2, set in New York is just really cool in my opinion. So, but I don't know. They're both great. So I don't really have a favorite when it comes to 1 or 2.
The most funniest part from the Home Alone, the first 2, dude, is definitely, I love the part where one of the burglars gets, electrocuted, and we see him getting turned to a skull. And this is like the most funniest part, like how you could think of how a cartoon how they really imitated real life cartoon.
Yeah, it was, they were just so out of it making movies back then. It's like they need to bring that back. It's knowing how to do it right, because comedy now is just corny. It's not the same. They used to do it back then. I guess it's a little corny in a way, but not like that. not the way they do stuff now. They used to just have the right balance making movies back then. You know, still keeping it serious in a way because you know that was a serious thing. You know, they were going after Kevin and they were literally trying to kill him because you know he put those bad guys in jail and all that stuff. You know, you really think about it, it has some serious things to it going on. So you know, Kevin's on the run, but at the same time they mix that out with comedy and you know silliness. But they know how to mix it up really good, which is something that movies don't know how to do now. You know, I was gonna name one, but I'm not even gonna talk about that because I don't want to go that way. But anyways, that's another topic for a different day. So Home Alone, all right. So that's the one we just talked about. Which one? So yeah, before we finish talking about Home Alone, what about Part 3? To me, I don't hate Part 3. I really don't.
Yeah. I mean, it's my, you know, stay home movies for when I'm at home, don't want to go anywhere for Christmas. I just literally watch that film.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know how a lot of people do. I still feel like it's a good movie.
Yep.
I just, you know, I think what people didn't like is because it was a whole new cast and all that stuff. But people need to sit down and really think about, you know, what they cooked while they were making the movie. You know, the way they made the movie. It's a good movie. So, you know, you can't really get your whole preference about the cast. It's a different family. You cannot get that get in your way. Watch it as a movie, you know, and study it as a movie. It's a well-made movie, and that's why I like it.
Yeah, not to mention my personal favorite is that I like how you know, the kid just completely crafted to make traps. And my personal favorite, you know, at least, you know, he had a serious plot device that he sees that toy literally contains something that these criminals wanted. Not to mention the kid was smart enough to report it.
Yeah. It's you know, I wanted to bring that up because I feel like Home Alone 3 gets a lot of hate that it should not be getting because it's a well done movie.
Yep. What should we talk about how Edward Scissorhands? I mean, that movie to me is the most crafted film ever to be made. And my personal favorite is that the soundtrack is, you know, literally is the most, you know, repeatable and good soundtrack ever.
Oh yeah, the music, you know, of course, you know, that's from a person that apparently he's an a-hole, you know, in real life. But you know, we cannot get blind by that, you know, because he still made amazing music, you know, at least back in the day. I don't know about now, not really, because now he don't have it in him anymore how he used to. He just made more of the same crap now. But yeah, you know, come on, the Batman theme, you know, you got the Edward Scissorhands, he made music for freaking Nightmare Before Christmas. You have Beetlejuice, you know, you have iconic themes that you would never forget because they are just timeless, you know. So we cannot really let, you know, whatever stuff that, of course, he's an a-hole now, but you cannot get blind by that. But still, you know, he did make some classics when it came to music.
Tim Burton too, because if you ask me, I love when Tim Burton does, you know, the movies that he does. Especially The Night Before Christmas is the good one. Yeah.
That's, you know, and in a way, I'm kind of happy that he kind of came out saying he don't want nobody to make a sequel to Night Before Christmas because, you know, it's a classic. It's supposed to be, it's a one story thing, you know. I mean, I always was curious if they make a sequel, you know. I don't see why not, because that you know, that whole, just from that one movie, they make millions of dollars on merchandise every year between October and December. So that's why I was always curious that they never brought it and made another sequel. But at the same time, I just don't want them to make a sequel just for money. I want them to make a sequel if they have something
value,
good, you know, a good story to tell. But you
Yep.
know, that's something that I was always curious about on what kind of story would you tell with a sequel for, you know, Nightmare Before Christmas. But I mean, who knows? You know, maybe one day people can get it, you know, in a meeting and cook something really good. You never know.
Okay. Okay, this was recently, you know, this was not, you know, this movie is new, but it has been released since, I'm guessing, like 2019 or the pandemic time. But the movie called Klaus.
Eat our snow, you... They're not attached. Why aren't they attached?
From Netflix.
Yeah.
I freaking love that movie, man. And I forgot to put that on my list. Thank you for bringing that up. That movie is very underrated in my opinion. I really feel like that movie came out and nobody talked about it. I was actually one of them when the movie came out. I was letting people know, friends, family, support this movie, especially if you love Christmas. It's a beautiful movie in my opinion. You know, that one scene with the montage and the music starts coming in. It's a beautiful movie. I love that movie, and you know, part of that is why I hate Netflix when it comes to not releasing physical copy, because that's one of those movies that I will buy right away.
Yeah, if you ask me, for sure, that movie is super underrated. I mean, there has been not so many merchandises or Funko Pops about the film because
They didn't have.
Let's be
They have anything? I don't think they had anything at all, right? When
I
it
don't
came to
think they did.
merchandise?
I'm just saying, dude, that this film is visually amazing. I mean, I know this movie took like years to make this, but dude, this film looks like it was super visualized about. You're supposed to hybrid the animation and 2D animation, two things, the 2D and 3D-ness. And not to mention, the film was like the idea how you brought something new and you brought something that, you know, how the origins of Claus was. I mean, a different, you know, Santa Claus origin film. I mean, we got the, you know, the stop motion, but why not the 2D and 3D animation film?
And you know, that's part. It's like we always talk about when it comes to Netflix. I feel like what hurt that movie is what's always usually hurting Netflix movies. It's the promoting part. They just don't know. They don't know how to promote movies. They don't promote crap. You know, there's a lot of times that I wait for I watch a trailer. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to watch that movie. But then I don't know what's the release date. And then they just release the movie. You know, sometimes you go to Netflix like, oh, wait, the movie came out. You know, it's like you don't even know when a movie's out. It's like, that's horrible marketing. That's horrible. You know, don't get me wrong. We know that Netflix is like number one when it comes to you know, streaming service. But they could be even higher if they knew how to promote stuff. The promoting part is horrible. That is something that they need to fix right away.
Yeah, not to mention, dude, sometimes that most of these films either they promote or something new literally is always underneath our radar.
Yeah, and you know, on top of that, sometimes it's hard to even find a movie on the app. You know, you have a new movie that comes out, and then you go on the app, and sometimes you gotta search the movie with the search thing, because sometimes it doesn't even show up on the front page.
And should we talk about the movie called Jingle All the Way? You know, the Arnold Schwarzenegger one?
Oh, for sure.
You got the doll, right?
Is this father's nightmare?
That's another favorite of mine. That's you know, that's just right next to Die Hard and Home Alone. It's one of those movies that you gotta watch, in my opinion, every Christmas. It's funny because if I'm not mistaken, I want to go ahead and bring up Rotten Tomatoes, because it's one of those movies that have a bad score. And if I'm not mistaken, Home Alone also has a bad score on Rotten Tomatoes. You know, it's just funny how people still trying to follow that website, even when the articles just came out saying that the website is full of crap. But yeah, Jingle All the Way, man, it's one of those classics. It's one of those movies that it shows you how kind of it's a silly movie. It has some action in it. You know, it kind of shows you how at the same time how stressful the holiday can be when you trying to find something in the last minute.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a fun movie, man. I love that movie.
I love how entirely the movie was super 90s because, we all grew up the 90s era where it was, like the 90s Christmas movies were, what sort? Oh yeah, they were nostalgic. They were like exactly how, 90s was supposedly colorful, an idea of, back then it was about toys, the time period how it was.
Yeah, exactly, because it's like that, that's a good point. If you make that movie now, it's not gonna be about a toy, it has to be about some type of digital device, if anything. Him going after maybe an iPhone or something like that, because that it's kind of sad that a lot of kids nowadays don't like toys, but I feel like that's some parenting in a way. But besides that, I don't know. It's like I say, I always when I have kids of my own, if I do ever do, I will. They're gonna have their toys. I'm sorry, there's not gonna be no cell phone, no tablet. You gotta keep it the way it used to be. In my opinion, a kid should be playing with toys, not a cell phone, not a tablet.
Yeah, not to mention, dude, sometimes I feel like that those things are not going to, what's the word? Aren't gonna progress their imagination or gonna progress anything of their own, brains at all.
100%. Yeah, I mean, in a way, a lot of this, like you said, the imagination that we have as a kid that can wake a lot of things up to a child when it comes to that. I mean, there's a lot of directors that we probably know now that are directors because of that, from playing with toys as a kid, because of the lot of movies that they made up in their mind, while playing with a toy, and they just while growing up they really got into all that stuff. With a tablet or a cell phone, there's so many crap out there that a kid should not be watching, and all that stuff can go in a lot of different ways. That's why I don't really support when I see kids with any of that stuff. A child should be a child, and they should be playing with toys.
Yeah, not to mention, dude, sometimes I find maybe these, tablets all being too hypnotized to buy all the products or doing these annoying TikTokers.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, not to mention, dude, sometimes I'm not a fan of how some kids would believe a lot on TikTok, because sometimes those information are incorrect or not correct at all.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, let's continue.
Let's continue. That's another topic to talk about. But yeah, you're 100%, man.
Let's talk about, Ben Affleck's reindeer games.
There's McCarthy's behind the wheel.
Reindeer games, yeah. Haven't seen it in a while, but I remember the movie. What's your thought about it?
Underrated action movie. I mean, it's not a ripoff to Die Hard. It just literally feels like the idea of an action movie during Christmas, and not to mention, Ben Affleck's, prior years where he was, doing cinema back then.
Yeah. That's a movie that I need to rewatch. Yeah, it's been years for that one, so I kind of need to refresh my memory when it comes to that movie. The other one that I see, that I try to watch almost every year. What's the name? Right now I'm blocking the name. Well, he made another family holiday movie also.
Is it Surviving Christmas?
Yeah, that one. That's another movie that I like from him. I feel like it's a pretty underrated movie, in my opinion, also. But it's pretty funny. It's a funny movie. So going from that, I want to bring up a movie that I almost forgot about, and that's Just Friends. I don't know if you ever seen Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds. That movie,
how can I forget?
And rewatch it. My girlfriend's probably annoyed by it by now, but I love that movie, man. It's a hilarious movie.
I mean, if you ask me, that's one of my films I'd rather watch over Hallmark movies.
can't deal with those Hallmarks type movies. And I really hate when Netflix tries to make Hallmark movies. It's like, why are you doing this when you could be making something better?
I'm like this. None of this stupid Hallmark ripoffs. I just really prefer to watch a film where a Christmas movie can be visualized, or just another whole level of
Yeah, you ain't trying to watch
breathtaking.
nothing. You ain't trying to watch nothing depressing around the holidays. When they make something about family and there's problems going on and blah blah blah. Like, come on, man. I ain't trying to watch any of that.
And if you ask me, dude, sometimes I feel like that people really don't understand that horror movies of, Christmas can exist. I mean, last month we got a Thanksgiving horror movie, and we had like another underrated Thanksgiving one that was in the 80s.
Yeah, and they actually released that Thanksgiving movie in around a good time. Now how they do with other movies, like we have talked about how you're gonna have Ghostbusters coming out in March. Why not wait for October and release it?
Yeah, that's exactly what, and that's my beef about how Scream 6 was released on middle of March. Even though that movie was on Halloween film.
I never understood that crap. The Haunted Mansion was another one. I don't know, you haven't seen it. It was a great movie in my opinion. But it was a July release. Like, come on, man. You could have waited until October to release that.
It's really funny, dude. Apparently, got Five Nights at Freddy's literally released on October.
Yeah. Come on. We know we're gonna get a sequel to that movie. That movie made a lot of money for. It was like the biggest movie from the studio, right?
Blumhouse and Universal for horror, yeah.
Yeah.
But let's see. Okay, you think we should talk about the Grinch movies?
Oh yeah, I love the live action one, and I love the last one that they made, the CGI one from Universal.
I also find that Grinch movies, the live action and the what's called the animated one, are all literally layered about how much the Grinch. Larry's not just a mean nasty. He just hates Christmas. How much it tortured him. Not to mention
He don't hate Christmas. He just hates humans. It's like the older you get. I mean, at least for me, the older I get, the more I understand him. He's not wrong.
Yeah.
People can be nasty. People can be a-holes. So can you really blame him? No, cannot.
No, not really at all.
It's crazy how you get to really. I don't really know if that was the point Dr. Seuss was trying to make when he wrote the story, but that's the way we see it now.
Yep. I mean, I kind of see the reason why he means about the noises and noises. I'm guessing he's just not just Karen. He just literally feels like how, parents would be react when they bought, a toy or bought a, what's it called? A set for them to be, being loud.
Yeah, exactly.
And not to mention it's stressful about making dinner, or what is the meals going to be happening on Christmas Day.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not for everybody. Christmas is not for everybody. There's a lot of people that don't. People need to understand. That's why I always said every year, especially for retail workers and all that, be kind. You don't know what these people are going through. You don't know if that person lost somebody around the holidays. You don't know if that person has a family. Not everybody is on the same page. We need us as humans. We need to understand each other and really be open-minded when it comes to all that.
Yeah, not to mention sometimes some of us don't like our don't want to go with our other families, because sometimes we either have like what's the word?
100%. It's a trauma thing sometimes when you try to hang out with family and they just I literally made a comment about that the other day. It was like you're trying to have fun with your family because you haven't seen them for over a year, but they always end up talking crap and bringing up the past or or just
Exactly.
or just making it seem like you haven't made it up in life. Like who cares? To me, I always say what makes me happy, what will make me happy as a family or a friend that I will ask you. I will not ask you anything about money. I will not ask you anything about that, because the only thing that's important to me is, are you happy in life? If you're happy, and how's your health? That's the two things that I will ask you. Why? Because those are two things that you cannot buy with money. You cannot really buy happiness with money, and you really cannot buy your health with money. That's just the main two things that people should really think about.
Yep, not to mention, dude, it's just that it's always being thoughtful what they do for you. Especially how they went through.
It's like everybody be brainwashed by the media, even by movies. Sometimes people get brainwashed. We watch movies to get entertained. We don't watch movies to get brainwashed. Well, not everybody is like that.
Okay, what else? Should we talk about like how the Muppet movie, how there was the Muppet Christmas Carol movie?
You're gonna kill me, but I haven't seen that one. And it's crazy because right now, when you sent me the list the other day, I'm like, oh my god, I need to see that, because I'm a huge Muppets fan. I love the Muppets. They're freaking hilarious. Even the special that Disney Plus did with the Halloween one, maybe like 2-3 years ago, that was great.
That was called the Haunted Mansion one.
Yeah, that was great, man. I watched that one maybe like 3 times back to back. I was laughing my ass off. But yeah, I need to watch that one. Now that you brought it up, I'm probably gonna wait for the kids, because I'm gonna have my nephews and nieces coming over. So I will watch it with them.
I'm just saying, dude, sometimes that, we never get a lot of good Muppet movies ever since either that or since 2011 version.
Yeah, because when they made that new one, I like the first one, but I didn't like part 2 when they kind of brought up the Muppets again.
Yeah.
What's that, Muppets Most One or something like that? I didn't like that one at all. But they need to do something with the Muppets. I just feel like, it's crazy how all these studios be having all these IPs, and sometimes they just put them to the side and they don't do anything with them.
Yeah, not to mention, dude, sometimes I'm not a big fan of how Disney had literally just shoved the legacy of Jim Henson, or that we have Max literally forcing this home renovation for Sesame Streets.
I mean,
it's like,
they should do something with the Muppets on Disney Plus when it comes to the holidays. You did something. You did something for Halloween. Do something for the holidays.
I mean, why not do like how exactly each character would do, how they would meet up all the way to the end of how they're gonna all end up, how they had to solve their problems or fix what's happening or help around with somebody who needs help on Christmas.
Yeah. So
I mean,
go ahead.
You ever seen the Mickey Mouse, Christmas stories or anything
like
from the 90s?
Like the old ones, yeah, I've seen those, but I know it's been a while. But I remember watching those.
If you ask me, the 90s one was the 90s, Mickey Mouse film. Okay, that was during the 90s, I used to watch that in the VHS form because, it was, it was like the only way how I watched it back then. And plus, not to mention, that's my form of, Mickey Mouse I grew up back then.
Yeah, it was like, it's like even now, bringing that up, it's like Disney don't really care about Mickey Mouse how they used to. You don't really see much with him. And it's crazy because he's literally the mascot of Disney.
If you ask me, the biggest problem, the biggest problem is that maybe that's the reason why all these Mickey Mouse shorts are just like that, because they don't want to hire too many animators.
Could be. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of these studios we don't really know. we it's like we know, but we don't. It's like their whole mindset, they're all messed up.
Yep. Okay, what should we say? And
So-
you ever seen that? Like, you ever watched that horde version of that TMNT version? Like I sent you that link,
No, I haven't. I haven't.
dude. That is the most, nightmare fuel version ever to be made. I mean, thank God back then, the early '90s, we all grew up with that version.
Yeah, I gotta try that. But yeah, so going back to the holidays, want to talk about Family Man. It's gonna be the next one on my list.
Oh, that.
That's another one that's a very very underrated movie in my opinion. I feel like that's a movie that a lot of people don't really. I don't know if they know about, but they don't really talk about.
I feel like that's I feel like that movie was like the major blueprint of all Hallmark movies, or movies like, what if I chose to live in this life, or didn't choose this life?
Yeah, it's literally what it is. Like what you said, it's a what if movie. It's a what if Jack never got in that plane when she didn't want him to go, but he did. He left, and so I remember the guy's character that's kind of pull him through all that, but pretty much what he does is show him all the stuff that he missed out on by getting on that plane. He thinks that he's happy because of wealth and the career and the lifestyle that he has, but at the end of the day, that means nothing when you're alone. He really showed him the family that he would have had. He never left. It's a beautiful movie in my opinion.
Yeah, and not to mention, I prefer this film over any Hallmark movies because, let's be honest.
Yeah, for sure. It's not a corny movie like that. So
I mean, you gotta have to feel the idea how, like you're in Amnesiaville versus, like I said, what if you were in this situation? What if you dreamt about it, or you just had like a feeling, what if I did this? And I'm just saying, dude, sometimes in Christmas movies, you gotta have the good serious moments, not the corny moments.
And if I'm not mistaken, that's another movie scored by Danny Elfman, right?
I think possibly,
Because
but
it sounds very similar to Edward Scissorhands in some of the music.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's one of those movies too that is you kind of make your own ending
Mm-hmm.
because you don't really know what happens after. She takes the coffee, for him to talk to him when she wasn't gonna do it, but he convinced her after telling her all the stuff that he had. So, but yeah, I love that movie, man. I just seen that like a couple of days ago. It's one of those movies that I can watch over and over again.
Should we talk about the Christmas Vacation movie?
Oh yeah, man, that's a good one. That's a good pick. I love that movie.
It was, the most funniest film ever to be made because, you have Clark Griswold going down the hill like super fast. The idea the part where he he screams about his boss as being a selfish a-hole. And my personal favorite is that how the Christmas tree got burned down.
Yeah, and the whole squirrel or whatever was inside the tree.
Yep.
But the next movie that I want to talk about is Krampus. That's another one that I almost forgot about.
That film literally gets, Krampus literally gets a lot of, what's the word? A lot of parody, a lot of versions of himself. It's like, which Krampus are they? Because there's like so many designs and so many, people literally dress up for him every holiday.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the one I'm talking about. I guess is I don't know if it's the last one or the newest one, but I'm pretty sure you know which one I'm talking about. The one that they did a lot of practical effects. I feel like that's how the main thing that I love about the movie is the practical effects that they had that in that movie, because it's very old school with the stuff that they did in that movie with all the puppets and all that stuff. It was great stuff that they did. Underrated in my opinion. It's another movie that a lot of people don't really talk about. That's the way I feel, but I love that movie. It's a great movie.
If you ask me, I do understand because, you know, practical. If you ask me, I see the reference because, you know, you have they use animatronics and you use, you know, costume designing.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of everything, you know. Kind of talks about
family gathering,
the selfish part of family. Sometimes, you know, the selfish part of, you know, how family don't really have a connection. A lot of times, it's a horror movie.
Yep.
It's also a comedy. You know, it has a little bit of everything. But yeah, it's like we said before, you know, before we end the video, please be kind to everybody, you know, and it's not just around the holidays, you know. We just say mainly for retail workers, mainly the holidays is very bad for them, you know. If you have never worked retail, I know how it is. It's horrible. You do not, you know, you will not understand the stuff that they deal with working for retail around the holidays. There's too many a-holes in the world. Don't be another one. You know, don't add another a-hole. You know, don't be that. Just be kind to them. Anything you will follow up with that, Jacob? What would you say to everybody?
I'd say that maybe understand that the price of money is not the biggest, you know, biggest deal for these days. Maybe understand that it's just the thought that counts about what you do and how you give somebody, especially
be there for somebody, you know.
And also,
you know, just yourself, you can be a gift to that person.
Yep. Not to mention maybe act nicely, because that's what the very, very, very first thing they want is nothing of this, you know, same person that acted like a jackass.
Yeah,
all the years.
Going back to it, you know, don't be another a-hole. We got too many of that. You know, we need more people in the world. So yeah, thank you everyone for watching this video and happy holidays.